Hey girl, hey! Welcome back to my channel and to another video. Honestly, I'm kind of nervous because I feel like I spilled a lot of tea in this video. And I just have to be honest with you girls. Recently on TikTok, I got asked how come I'm not talking about my divorce as vividly or as openly as I have talked about other things in the past. And I have to be honest with you girls. Whenever I make videos like this, talking about like Q&A or like talking about questions that you guys want to know, I always do it through the lens of what would be okay to share. And the reason why I say that is because I come from parents of divorce. And when my parents divorced, they did it so intensely, I would say. I don't judge my parents at all whatsoever because I feel like divorce and separation are very difficult to handle. However, because I lived that experience as a young girl and I saw how my parents talked bad about each other, they used me and my siblings as ammo against one another, and they used us to communicate between one another. They talked bad about each other. That's not something I want to repeat in the cycle of my divorce. And so with that, whenever I talk about these things and I want to share with you guys, I always do it through the lens of would I be okay if my kids watch this someday? Because the internet is forever, and as you guys know, I feel like my divorce already got way more messy than I wanted it to or I was comfortable with. So with that, I picked some of the questions that you guys asked me on my broadcast channel that I feel comfortable sharing and that I feel also let you in a little bit as to where I'm at or where I want to go post-divorce. And so I curated the best questions that I feel like would tell you guys as much as I felt comfortable sharing while also still honoring my sons. I got to do my makeup in the video, and one of the things I also got to do is I got to pick my frames that I wanted to wear for this video. So I've talked about Pair Eyewear before, which is the sponsor of today's video, and the glasses I'm currently wearing. And I got so many questions from you guys asking me where my frames are from because number one, they're so cute, and number two, they're versatile, so you can change your look by just adding a frame onto your glasses. So for today's video, I actually got myself some new blue light frames, and these are the Addison in the color Tortoise Shell. These are so cute. These are definitely a little bit smaller than my other two frames. I have the Murphy and the Harper. But for the Addison, I wanted something smaller that kind of fit my face a little bit more cute, more everyday, more office vibe. And for my frames, I actually ended up getting these blue ones, these black and white ones, because I always like to do a little fun style. And of course, I ended up getting some sunshades because as you guys know with Pair Eyewear, you don't need to be carrying a bunch of different glasses. All you need are your regular reading glasses and you just add your sunshade frames and now you have sunglasses on. How cute is that? Now, one of my favorite things about Pair Eyewear is that you can go on their website and you can actually do a virtual try on of any glasses you see on their site so that you can know exactly what the glasses are gonna look like on you before you actually order. And what I love most about them is that for every pair of glasses you buy, they actually gift the pair to a child in need. So not only are you looking super cute and stylish in your frames, you're also helping a child in need get their glasses at no extra cost to you. For today, I'm gonna rock the blue frames, but if you guys wanna get your own set of Pair Eyewear glasses, make sure you click my link down below. So again, if you wanna get your own pair of super cute Pair Eyewear glasses, all you have to do is scan the QR code right here or click my link down below and use code StacyDiaz15 to get 15% off your first pair of Pair Eyewear glasses. With that, I'm definitely gonna be rocking the blue frames today because I love to add a little bit of a pop of color. And now we're gonna be answering some of your tough questions while I do my makeup because I feel like it just helps me relax and it gives me something to do. So let's go ahead and start my makeup and start answering your questions. Let's get started. We do have a little guest who's currently playing on his mat. So if you guys hear him, we are working from home moms, girls. So we have to just keep the show on the road. So let's go ahead and start answering these questions. I do have to tell you girls, if you're ever curious about where I'm getting these questions from, it is from my broadcast channel. So if you ever want to send in your question and you want me to see your question, definitely make sure you're following me in my broadcast channel on Instagram because that's where I'm the most active out of all social media. So I feel like my broadcast channel girlies and I are like this. And I like to ask them the questions because I feel like they're the girls that know me the best and they're the ones that are more up to date with everything. So if you want to join the broadcast channel, make sure you go to my Instagram and do so there. And with that, let's get to the first question, which is, do you wish that you had chosen a different name for your baby since it's the same as your ex-husband's and it might bring back memories? So fun fact, my baby does not have the same name as my ex-husband, My baby's name is Daniel, and my ex-husband's name is not Daniel, even though a lot of people think that's his name because it sounds very similar. So when we were looking for a baby name for baby Daniel, we looked high and low, and we didn't even have a name by the time that we went to the hospital. And when we finally came with the name Daniel, at least for myself, I can't speak for my ex-husband, but I did want something that started with the letter D, like his name, because Santiago has a name that starts with the letter S, like myself. And I really love the name Daniel, so no, I don't regret it one bit, even though it sounds like my ex-husband's name and they do have the same initials. But at the end of the day, girls, it doesn't matter how many memories come up, they're his sons. You know what I mean? Regardless of what happens in life, my kids are never gonna stop being my ex's sons. And so he loves his sons as much as I do. And so, no, I don't regret his name at all whatsoever. It doesn't even actually remind me of my ex-husband's name. And it's not something I regret or that I wish I would have done differently. I love his name and I think it fits him perfectly. You guys go in for the questions. So, do you think he decided to do that because of your closeness to religion, or was it postpartum that changed the dynamic? To be honest, obviously I've changed a lot ever since I became a Christian woman. My views are different, my ideas are different. I've given my life to Christ, and Christ is now the center and main priority in my life. However, with that, because I don't ever want anyone to watch this and be like, I don't want to get close to God because I don't want my husband to eventually cheat on me, I will say, and this is something that I told my ex-husband when we were going through it, and before I found out there was an infidelity, there are plenty of couples and plenty of marriages who have different religions and they make it work. There are plenty of people who are Christian who are with atheists. There are plenty of people who are of different religions and they make their marriage work. So even if that was an excuse or a reason that someone would ever use to say, oh, I cheated because you gave your life to God, that's not a valid excuse, you guys. That is not a valid excuse, because somebody trying to live a better life, trying to be more Christ-like, it's not an excuse for somebody else to go and break a marital vow, if you will. I understand if somebody wouldn't want to be with someone because they gave their life to God, but even at that point, you have a conversation with your spouse in which you say, I no longer want to be with you because you've given your life to God and it's just not what I want to do anymore. And the Bible actually talks about this, because when we were first having issues and I didn't know that there was an infidelity, I thought that it was because of religion. I thought it was because I was getting closer to God. And in the Bible, it says that if you're married to an unbeliever and you are a believer yourself, you are to remain married to this person as long as this person wants to continue to be with you. And in the same book, it says that if the unbeliever partner wants to leave the believer husband, let them go. You are okay to let them go if they no longer want to be with you. So before I found out there was an infidelity, and I thought that the reason why we were getting separated and we were going through issues was because I had given my life to Christ, I thought to myself, no, I'm going to stay with him because the Bible says to stay with him even if he's not a believer. I may be the reason why he eventually comes to Christ. If you guys are currently going through a phase in which you're getting closer to God and you're afraid that your husband or wife is going to cheat on you because you're getting closer to God, I'm here to tell you that that is not an excuse for somebody to cheat on you. Point blank, period. So I don't want people to think to themselves like, I want to get closer to God because I don't want my husband to cheat on me. Like a person of integrity and a person who holds their word and like a person of their word is not going to cheat on you just because you're getting closer to God. Point blank, period. How are you managing to have so much grace in such a horrible situation? Ooh, honestly, it's the Holy Spirit. Point blank, period. Like, that's what it is. It's the Holy Spirit and it's God working through me, because of course it's really hard, but what good does that get me, you guys? Like, something I understood really early on in this separation, and you know, when I thought we were gonna get divorced, no matter how upset I am and no matter how betrayed I feel and no matter how much I'm upset at this person is gonna be in my life for the rest of my life. Like I said earlier in the video, like, he is the father of my children and I'm never gonna stop seeing him because he's the father of my children. And regardless of what he did to me, he deserves a relationship with his children, because me and his children are 2 separate or 3 separate people, right? Like, he might have stopped loving me. He might have stopped like wanting to be faithful to me. Him and I may no longer be together, but at the end of the day, like, we're gonna be in each other's lives for the rest of our lives. So when this all unfolded, no matter how hurt I've been and how like upset I have never really taken it out on him, because to me, I'm like, I'm looking for the good of my children. And if I talk bad about him and if I talk negatively to him, my children will suffer the consequences of it. And I say that because I come from a household of divorce, and in my parents' divorce, it got so ugly, and my parents would talk bad about each other. My parents would use me to communicate between one another. So they would be like, dile a tu papá esto, dile a tu mamá aquello. And I remember how traumatic and how ugly that was for me. And I don't want that for my children. Like, I do not want my children to grow up in the same circumstances I did. So to me, it's like, I rather swallow my pride and I rather have a good co-parenting relationship with this man so that my children don't have to bear that weight. Because I know at the end of the day, someday I'm gonna get over this heartbreak, but he's still not gonna stop being my kid's father. You know, like, I'm gonna be over it. Someday him and I are gonna be friends. Someday him and I are gonna be co-parents, and that's my goal, and that's my mission in life, for us to be a happy co-parenting unit. Because even though we couldn't make it work as husband and wife, like, at least we'd be amazing co-parents and raise these two children together and make sure that they still feel loved and taken care of by both of their parents. As someone who's brave to walk away, what would you advise someone like me that has anxious attachment in a relationship? See? ¿Qué pasó? So I would like to say that I don't ever want to be like the poster child for like, oh, I walked away and I have it all figured out. And like, I don't want to be seen as that, because I think my circumstances are different than everyone. Like, don't ever look at a woman that decided to stay after infidelity and think less of her, because nobody knows what anybody is dealing with. So if there's anybody out there who's watching and they got cheated on and they're thinking to themselves, like, why can't I do it? Why can't I walk away? Like, why can't I do this for myself? Like, I don't want anyone to ever watch my content and feel bad that they stayed. I think when it comes to relationships and when it comes to leaving after infidelity or staying after infidelity, for me specifically, I just kind of felt like, I don't want to do this again. Like, I don't have to go through this again, you know, because the person I was with, like, to me, I kind of saw it like, I gave marriage everything that I had. Like, I did everything that I could. I gave him everything that I had. Like, I really was the best version of myself. And if that was not enough to make him happy and to keep him faithful, I have nothing else to give. And that's kind of what made me walk away. That I was like, I gave you everything. If you're in a relationship and you've gotten cheated on and you think to yourself, like, I want to give it another try, like, I want to go one more time because maybe this time it'll be different. That's your choice and that's your prerogative, and nobody can tell you when you've had enough. If you still think that you have more left in you to try and make this relationship work and you're not being abused, by all means, go for it. I will never judge a woman for trying to make her marriage work, because you always want it to work with the father of your children. Like, you want your children to grow up in a happy and loving home. For me, it was just a matter of, I've given everything I have and this wasn't good enough. So now I have nothing else left to give. I come from a broken home as well. Do you ever plan on sitting with your boys in the future and explaining what happened? Yes, I plan for both my ex-husband and I to sit together with both of the boys. I would love for both of us to sit together and talk to them, because my sons don't make the same mistakes. Obviously, I can't make my ex-husband have this conversation with his sons if he doesn't want to, but I think it would be amazing for all four of us to sit together and kind of talk about what happened, because I'm sure my sons are going to have questions and I want us to be able to answer them honestly and age appropriately. Okay, my makeup's done. Let's do a couple more questions and then we're gonna be done. These are the questions with some of the most likes. Did your ex-husband ever communicate his unhappiness in the relationship before he decided to look somewhere else? This is so hard because I want to say no. I think I'm a pretty self-aware, open to constructive criticism type of person. And if he would have told me anything that I could have done to make things better or to make things work out, I would have done it, you guys. I would have. And I say that because as somebody that came from divorced parents, my number one goal in life was to kind of have my marriage work out, have my kids grow up in a happy household. I'm aware of the fact that there were things that I lacked and things that he was unhappy with. I just didn't know what those things were. And because of that, I never knew how to make them better, or I never knew how to fulfill those categories. No, unfortunately, he never told me straight out like, oh, this me or that bothers me, or I want you to do this, or I want you to do less of that. So I kind of was just kind of left guessing in a way. But I will tell you, if you are somebody that struggles with like opening up, setting boundaries, or like talking about your emotions, the best thing you can do for yourself, your marriage, and your kids is to be honest about what you want. Lo que me pesa más de todo esto es el hecho de que mi familia ya no está junta. Okay, last question. Has your ex-husband given you an explanation, or has he apologized? So yes, so those are two different questions that like I kind of want to answer separately. So has he given me an explanation? We have sat down and talked about things like why he did it, why he decided to look somewhere else, like how it happened. You know, we've had really, really mature conversations since everything happened. However, unfortunately, when it comes to infidelity, I'm of the belief that it doesn't matter what your excuse was. You still should have had a conversation before, whether you lost feelings, whether there was something you were missing, whether there was anything that you wanted it to be differently, you know? So he has explained to me, and I don't feel like his reasons are for me to share on the internet. Like if he wants to come online and talk about his reasonings, his motives, or the reason he did what he did, that's very much up on him, and I want to respect that for him. Because I can't speak for him, even though he has shared with me. I don't know that there will ever be a good enough excuse for me to believe like, oh yeah, it makes sense you did what you did. Second question within that question was, has he apologized? And he has apologized. He has apologized. He does seem remorseful. He does seem like he regrets it. However, I have forgiven him. I forgive him as my brother in Christ, because Jesus calls us to forgive. And you know, when you don't forgive somebody for their sin against you, you carry that weight in your heart and it starts weighing heavy on you. So I have forgiven him. However, forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. So I forgive him. I pray for him. I wish him the best still. And at the same time, that doesn't mean that I want to try it again. You know, like you can forgive somebody and still set your boundaries and say, we tried it, it didn't work out. And now we get to go our own different ways while still co-parenting and having a healthy co-parenting relationship. It was big of him to apologize, to own his truth, to own his mistakes. And, you know, I'm still praying for him to one day come to the feet of Christ and surrender his life to Jesus, because I definitely think that this was, I don't know, like I think people do something so low as cheating. I think it's because they're lacking in their heart. And I truly believe that that could only be fulfilled by God. You know, like that missing piece, that hunger you feel, it could only be fulfilled by God. So I have forgiven him. I'm praying for him, but this does not mean we're back together or getting back together. If you guys ever see him in my content, which that's not my goal or plan to add him into my content, it will be because he's with the kids. And if we're ever at the same place, it will be because of the kids. And yeah, like I look forward to having an amazing relationship with him as co-parents and maybe friends someday. But as husband and wife, I don't think so. No. I'm a single woman now. I'm a divorced woman now, which in the eyes of Christ, that means that I no longer have a husband. Like I have nothing to do with my ex-husband in the romantic way. And in order to not fall to sin, I'm keeping boundaries clear and concise and trying to make the best decisions for everyone involved. That being my children, myself, and my ex-husband included. So that's gonna be it for this video. Definitely let me know if you guys have any other questions down below. Hopefully I answer everything, all the questions you guys had. With that being said, las quiero mucho, mucho, mucho. Que Dios me las bendiga. Quiérete mucho, respétate más. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.